What's going on, fight fans? It's your host Sebastian, and I'm back with the boxing tip. Now, as y'all know, after the Anthony Joshua versus Eric Molina fight, it was announced that Anthony Joshua will be facing Vladimir Klitschko in 2017. It's been reported recently that the president of the WBA sanctioning body, MENDOZA, has ordered the winner of Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko to fight Luis Ortiz next. Now, what does this mean for the heavyweight division? In my opinion, it's a very positive thing. Now, Luis Ortiz, very good boxer, been climbing through the ranks, has some pretty impressive wins. Probably one of the most significant wins would be the one over Bryant Jennings, knocking him out in brilliant fashion. So Ortiz, being that he's been climbing through the ranks, he's been on the scene for a little bit now, and I think it's, pretty, I say that it's appropriate to say that Luis Ortiz does need to have a title shot. He's showing that he is a competitor at the heavyweight division. He's showing that he does pose a threat to anybody at the heavyweight division. Not going to go out on a limb and say he's the best fighter at the heavyweight division, but he is showing some signs of being one of the top competitors at the heavyweight division. Now, Anthony Joshua, young guy, he's a beast. He is a beast. What did he improve to? 18-0 with 18 KOs. Just like I said, had his fight with Eric Molina, stopped him in 3 rounds. Vladimir Klitschko, now he's been a little inactive since his last fight with Tyson Fury. Wasn't the most exciting fight, and it wasn't the most brilliant performance by either fighter. Nevertheless, Tyson Fury got the win and took Vladimir Klitschko's belts. Now, since then, there was a rematch scheduled, but as we all know, Tyson Fury was found to be testing positive for cocaine, went on some weird emotional downward spiral, but as of recent news, or from what I've been seeing recently, I guess he's been taking steps to get his career back on track and come back to being a competitor at the heavyweight division again. But Vladimir Klitschko, older fighter, has probably the best resume in the heavyweight division, being that he's probably the longest competing top heavyweight as of right now. We all know him for his fights with, like Samuel Peter, Alexander Povetkin, which was a shit show in my opinion. I'm truly not the Vladimir Klitschko fan. It's not so much because of who he is. It's his boxing. He does show some pretty technical ability. But he's not very flashy. Just kind of a good jab. Uses his height. Pretty powerful straight right. But beyond a 1-2, he's not the most versatile fighter out there. But for what it's worth, the tools that he does use, obviously he uses them effectively. Anthony Joshua, on the other hand, is, in my opinion, a more technical boxer. Very light on his feet, especially for how gigantic the motherfucker is. Dude is just packed full of muscle. But like I said, he's very light on his feet. He throws his punches very well, very strategic. He doesn't just go in there and try to blow the other guy out. He does takes his time and finds his openings. He's a very good boxer, very good fundamentals. In the heavyweight division, we don't see too many technical boxers, but too many like flashy technical boxers showcasing like some advanced skill or like advanced techniques. It gets kept pretty simple in the heavyweight division, in my opinion. But the guys they're a lot bigger. They don't have the speed to pull off things that smaller fighters can do. But for what it's worth, the heavyweight division does have some pretty talented guys. Luis Ortiz and Anthony Joshua, in my opinion, are some of the more technical fighters in the heavyweight division. So, that, like I said in another one of my videos, the heavyweight division is starting to show some promise because there are now more heavyweight fighters starting to emerge. You know, we got the likes of Deontay Wilder. We have these three gentlemen right here on the picture. Tyson Fury, if he ever gets back on track. Alexander Povetkin, though he's going through a bit of a situation right now with, you know, having to do with drug testing. Berman Stavern was supposed to fight Alexander Povetkin. The WBC pulled the sanctioning off the fight. Berman Stavern walked away from the fight, being that Alexander Povetkin was tested positive for Osterin. I think it's Osterin. That's the name of it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but they're still awaiting. You know, it's still in its process with the Alexander Povetkin thing. It's still in its process. I seen recently somewhere, I can't remember exactly where I seen it, that they are saying that it was ingested by tainted meat and that he is prepared to do polygraph testing. That's not really what this video is about, guys. What this video is really about is what it means for the heavyweight division if these big fights are starting to happen and who is going to come out on top. Now, in my opinion, Anthony Joshua, he's starting to show, in my eyes, the most promising of the, you know, of the group of heavyweights that are considered the top competition. Joshua, you know, given his opponents, they're not exactly what I would call, you know, like top tier fighters, but he's blowing through those guys, you know, fairly easily. So obviously it's apparent that Anthony Joshua has separated himself from, you know, the C-level fighters, the lower B-level fighters. He's starting to show separation from them. Luis Ortiz obviously has shown separation by beating some of the good opponents that he's beaten. Vladimir Klitschko, a veteran in the heavyweight division, has already shown that he is a top competitor at the heavyweight division for plenty of years now. So there's no doubt about Vladimir Klitschko and him being a top competitor. And I like this. I like that this is happening and I like that the sanctioning bodies are starting to really, you know, push for these big fights, allowing Ortiz to have an opportunity to fight for one of the belts depending on who the winner is. Me personally, I think Anthony Joshua may just retire Vladimir Klitschko. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards right now, but there's plenty of time for my mind to be changed. That's just kind of my first impression of the fight. I think Anthony Joshua will be the one to retire Vladimir Klitschko. Luis Ortiz, how does he fare up against either one? Well, in my opinion, he fares up pretty well against him. He's not a bad boxer. He's actually a pretty good boxer. He comes from the Cuban school of boxing, which has been known to produce some very skilled and talented fighters like the likes of Yuri Gorkas Gamboa, Erislandy Lara, Guillermo Rigondeaux, Joel Casamayor back in the day, you know, just to name a few of the more recent, you know, better heavyweights. So this is a production. The talks are the winner of Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko should be facing Luis Ortiz. The reason why I say should and not will face him is because, especially for the WBA sanctioning body, they had that huge trouble with Golovkin and Jacobs. They had a lot of trouble. They've made promises that they haven't kept, like, how do you explain it? Like, getting rid of all the interim titles and having one, you know, like the regular champion and having the super champion, will just kind of absolving their sanctioning body of the regular championing and just having one WBA champion. But that hasn't happened yet, so. And because of that reasoning, depending on who wins, you know, it depends on the probability of, well, depending on who wins determines the probability of the fight happening. If Vladimir Klitschko wins, you know, I don't know exactly how sure the probability or what the probability is of him facing Luis Ortiz. If Anthony Joshua wins, I think the probability of him facing Luis Ortiz is a little bit higher, and the reason is because Anthony Joshua and Luis Ortiz share the same promoter, which is Eddie Hearn. So, and you know, obviously Klitschko, he's K2, basically the head honcho of K2 Promotions, along with his brother Vitaly. So if the fight happens, if in a perfect world, then we can get either Anthony Joshua versus Luis Ortiz and Vladimir Klitschko versus Luis Ortiz. You know, and this means a lot in the heavyweight division, given the number of years that the heavyweight division was pretty much being ran by Vladimir Klitschko. And then, you know, you had your, you know, some of your decent fighters, but there was a long span of time that the heavyweight division went into this serious dry spell. Vladimir Klitschko, especially in America, Vladimir Klitschko was fighting in Germany, making much more money there than he would have fighting in America. You know, everyone knows that whole dry spell, but it seems like it's starting to make a comeback, and this is a good step in putting the heavyweight division as a full-fledged competitive division. Because like I said, we have Deontay Wilder, Joshua, Ortiz, Klitschko, and some other, you know, pretty good heavyweights out there, not to mention the possibility of maybe Usyk jumping up in weight, because he was a heavyweight Olympic fighter. That's where he won his Olympic gold, in the heavyweight division. So, and 200 pounds isn't very far from 200 plus. You understand what I'm saying? All he needs is 1 pound and boom, basically he's in the heavyweight division. So, but, you know, obviously it's not, you don't fight at 201. You know, you probably want to pack on a couple more pounds than that. So, with the possibility of, you know, Usyk jumping up, and it's already been talked about, it's been brought up by him, you know, in some interviews and by his promoter, by his promotional company. So I'm liking this, but, you know, I just kind of wanted to bring this topic up to, you know, find out what you guys think of this. You know, what does this mean for the heavyweight division? Who do you pick to win between Klitschko and Joshua? And would you like to see them fight Luis Ortiz, or would you like to see them fight another top heavyweight competitor? So drop it in the comment section and let me know. That's all I've got for this video. This went a little bit longer than I wanted it to. Subscribe to the channel, guys. Share the video with your boxing homies. Introduce somebody to boxing. And I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace out.